Hey everyone, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. This is episode 228, entitled PAC-Man 99 and Indie World. We're going to be talking a lot about that. We got some other game reviews. We're going to be talking about this Indie World showcase that decided to drop, of course, the day after the podcast, and a bunch of other small Nintendo news tonight that we're going to be chatting about. But it's time for introductions. My name is Steve, and I'm also, of course, joined by Barry. Hey, Barry, how's it going?
Hey, Steve. Always a pleasure and happy to be here.
Yeah, and also joined by Greg. Hey, Greg, how are you?
Good. Also glad to be here, too.
Cool. I think Jakester's pointing out your shirt. Greg, or Barry, you got it in and wearing it proudly, huh?
Yep, my badge of honor. I talked about it last time at the April Fools. I did get it. It did come in, and it did come with something amazing. Like oh my God, I'm so glad I ordered it. It was something super special. Like everyone was speculating, it was air. It was just air in the package as well. That was what we got. But yes, the shirt, the 1-day sale, it is legit, and I wear this lousy T-shirt proudly.
Nice. And Greg, of course, is representing. Get your NintendoFuse T-shirts. You can click on the link on our website, NintendoFuse.com. Get your merch. We got shirts and we got a bunch of other stuff too. So wear your NintendoFuse gear proudly. You can check that out, like I said, on NintendoFuse.com. If you're new to the podcast, first of all, thanks for checking this out. Thanks for stumbling upon it. I don't know how you found us, but we're glad you're here. And we are so glad that you're continuing to listen. If you're watching us live, we absolutely love interacting with you guys live in the chat room. So be sure to throw any of your comments of any of the things that we talk about tonight in the news stories, what you've been playing, all that stuff. We'd love to hear it throughout the podcast. So make sure you toss that stuff in all your ideas and everything in the chat room, and we'll refer to you guys live while we're recording. Kind of like the fourth collective member of this podcast crew is their live chat room. But if you're watching after the fact or listening after the fact, thank you guys for doing that as well. We'd also love to hear what you're thinking about anything that we talk about as well. So use that comment section, or of course, join us on social media. We are at NintendoFuse on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also join our Discord. We absolutely love for you to join that. That's just a great way to keep that conversation going in between episodes. And so if you have not joined our Discord, the link is on the screen here on YouTube, but also in the show notes for the podcast and the YouTube description. We'd love for you to join our Discord, that growing community over there. So, we got several people in the chat tonight. Retro Visions, Jakester, I see several others. There's some interesting chat going on already, talking about your shirt and talking about some other things. So, yeah, be sure to let us know, especially right up here at the front. We're going to be talking about what we've been playing, so we want to know what you've been playing, so let us know in the chat. But let's start off with Barry. Barry, what have you been up to over this last week?
This week I actually got a little bit more time to play some stuff, which was thankful because I've had had some busy weeks. On the Switch, I'm still doing Animal Crossing, but it is more like just the daily routine, find my money tree, hit the rocks, get my bottle, help Gulliver or whoever's there, and that's about it, until there's more, more event stuff. I'm also did a little bit of Pac-Man 99, which went live, the day after our last podcast. So we'll talk a little bit about that a bit. When we were doing the what's coming up for the week, we actually mentioned a couple games, and I actually played 2 of them, which is kind of shocking for me. I played Tori 3D, which is a 3D platformer, very basic, very simple. You run around and you try to collect all the stars from beginning to end of the stage. Definitely has promise. It's got like 9 stages. I could see it being expanded upon, but it was cheap and really interesting little title. And the other one is Legends of Talia Arcadia, which I specifically called on about the art being really cool, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. And then the last game on the Switch that I've been playing is Hades, which is many people's game of the year last year. And I'm not a big roguelike fan, but I am really enjoying Hades for what it is. There's enough of that progression. When you die, you come back, and you have enough to upgrade to keep going. The only thing that sucks is you start at the beginning every time. So in order to beat the game, you got to do it in one run. Much like most roguelikes, but it does get a little annoying because the powers you get are random, and you can get like an amazingly awesome power and have a fantastic run, and then you try to replicate that the next time, even being a little stronger, and you just don't get good luck with the powers. So there's a little RNG in there too, but it is a lot of fun. On the PS4 or 5 front, I finally, after weeks, finished Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. My wife laughed at me with this game because I beat it 3 times. And not like I went through and beat it 3 times. Literally, you beat it in the final chapter, and then if you have enough points, you can then unlock the epilogue. So you have to beat it again, and then there's the EX Plus content, which is a brand new story that takes place 3 months after the end of the game. So I go through that and beat it a 3rd time. And I loved it every minute of it. Such a great game. Falcom, if you've never played a Falcom game, you really should. They are quickly becoming one of my top tier developers. Like really, really well done. Love to see Access bring that to the Switch. Easily can be done for the Switch, and it should be there. On the PC front, Final Fantasy 14, I didn't really do much over the past couple weeks, but today we got 5.5 dropped, so I've actually been playing a little bit, and still a lot that I need to do for 5.5, but I usually play that with my wife, and she's been busy, so I really haven't done as much as I want to. And on the mobile front, Dragalia Lost and Mario Kart Tour still keeping my attention.
Nice. Retrovision says that he's been planning on getting Pac-Man 99, but still struggling, holding his own. I'm assuming this is a guy. I apologize if it's not. But holding own and original Pac-Man on the Atari computer. But then also said that feels Pac-Man 99 is going to be too much stimulus for me on my own. My wife is better at games that require you to follow a lot of crazy on the screen. That's a good description of Pac-Man 99. A lot of crazy on the screen. Jakester also got to play Pac-Man 99 and then Genshin's new story section and new event doing FGO's current event and Catherine Full Body. And also Jakester said certainly prefers Tetris over Pac-Man, but it's still fun. So yeah, we'll get into talking a little bit more about Pac-Man in just a little bit. But Greg, what have you been up to over this last week?
Mine's a lot more of the older Switch titles this time around. I had one of those kind of weeks. So still playing Animal Crossing. I was very focused on trying to collect every single one of those cherry blossom recipes. I've only gotten 2 last year. I was hoping to hit the other 12 this year, but on the last day I fell short, didn't hit the final 3 recipes. So I was trying to do initially planned out to try to do 2 a day, but then I wasn't even playing every day, and then it became 3 or 4 over the last few days, and just trying to spam those stinking balloons is not fun at all. So I was following guides where you can place the iron bars all down the beach, and then pretty much the balloons would funnel all the way down the beach, and you could just wait on the beach. And I was still getting oh, here's a gold nugget, and I'm I really like the gold nugget, but I really want the recipe. And that's oh, here's 5K in bells. No, I don't need bells. Oh, here's a pilot's hat. That's going to my villager. What's with this garbage? So
isn't it amazing? You get to in the beginning, you're I can't get enough bells, and then you get to a certain point, you're I don't need any more of this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 iron nuggets. I could just gold. I can go to a rock and just get 5 iron nuggets right there.
Right.
It's still mind-boggling that that's a reward from the balloons, especially even after you've been playing for so many days. But
yeah. Nice.
Hopefully that 2.0 update for the anniversary comes out soon and can fix that. Alright, so still was playing. Initially it was a lot more Bowser's Fury, and then my daughter was getting upset that I am now 3 cat shines away from completion. I'm at 97, and she's I need to get 100 before you. Then we kind of stopped playing later in the week, so here I am sitting at 97, and I just have 2 more in one of the main areas and 1 more in the late black Black Cat to get. That Golden Isle thing was not very fun, trying to track those down each time. So it was overall a very fun game. Just hoping to try to get those last few and get that wrapped up. And we did play some Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We saw that at the tie-in event for Bowser's Fury Spirits. So me and my daughter successfully hunted down all three and beat all three. Got those three spirits there. Our first time doing those spirit events, and that was kind of fun, kind of chasing them down and collecting other spirits while you're waiting for those event ones to appear. And we also did a lot of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, just a number of random races. She discovered we don't have to have the computers on, so now she just has the joy of just screaming me every time, like, "Oh, Daddy, wait, stop." Kind of park the car there, and okay, then get knocked out with items and all sorts of other garbage just to let her win easier. And then did play a few matches of Pac-Man 99 today, and then we'll be talking about that a little bit more later to discuss further opinions on that. And then still playing Fire Emblem Heroes on mobile. So that wraps up my last week.
Nice. I love the progression that we get to hear about your daughter's progression in gaming, to go from, like, I feel like just a few episodes ago she was like just starting out, and now she's working on beating you. So that's awesome.
Oh, and I also failed to mention, I didn't talk about Mario Odyssey. I actually got like a quite a ton of moons and spent a significant amount of time playing Balloon World. That was like my first chance actually playing Balloon World since it launched. So that was kind of after the fact when I was initially done my first time around. But we had a lot of fun tracking down a number of random people's balloons and getting all sorts of coins to unlock some of the outfits that require an insane amount of coins.
Nice. Yeah, so another week goes by, and another couple games that I really wanted to play didn't happen. And actually, I didn't play a whole lot of games at all this last week. It's kind of just a crazy busy week with life outside of video games. And so, yeah, of course, played some Rocket League. Season 3 is out, and been playing some of the new stuff there, collecting some of the new items. But yeah, I haven't actually, like, there's definitely been weeks that go by that I play a significant amount of time every day, and I probably only played maybe 3 days out of this last week. So definitely a slow week overall. When you know that I haven't played much Rocket League, that means that I was pretty busy outside of video games for sure. And then did also get some time with Pac-Man 99, which, as you guys have said, we'll talk about in just a little bit about our opinions and thoughts around there. Yeah, and looks that the chat also says Jakester said he went went a week without playing Dragon Quest. He feels terrible, guys, because he went a whole week without playing Dragon Quest. That's sad. Although I went many weeks without playing Dragon Quest, but yeah.
Shame on you.
Many weeks without playing Animal Crossing too.
I'm also it's been a while. There was a couple days that I did check in over the last month or so, but yeah, I haven't really been playing it lately. It's definitely got to that point where all the other games did. But I feel like I've stuck with this Animal Crossing longer than any other one. And so that's exciting. Yeah, yeah, you too. Yeah. A little different, but yeah. So let's before we jump into anything, any news related things, we're gonna be changing things up just a little bit in the podcast moving forward, and kind of adding some new components to the podcast, adding a little bit more reviews. Some, if you guys have been following us for a while, we've done game chats on our YouTube channel, and so we're gonna maybe try to kind of incorporate those into the chat, into the not the chat, but the podcast from time to time as well. And so tonight or today, depending on when you're watching this, but if you're live, it's tonight. We're gonna jump into a little mini review from Barry. Barry, what game are you gonna be talking about?
Yeah, so last week when we were talking about the upcoming games, I commented on Legends of Talia Arcadia, saying like, "Oh, this actually looks really good. I'm surprised that it's a 2-hour game. You know, the art is is very, very pretty. And lo and behold, was contacted by the developer, Gamuzumi. I probably butchered that, but and they said, would you be interested in reviewing the game? Because I told them, I said, yeah, I was actually talking about the game. So they were kind enough to send me a code, and I did get to play. It's a 2 hours and change adventure, and it is a visual novel, and it is a visual novel in the sense of emphasis on the novel. There is no decisions to make in this game. This is a full just read novel. You can tell that at least I feel that the creators of this game are trying to set up a world. Like this, the Legends of Talia is the world they're creating, and this is one small snippet on a character called Arcadia, who is a legendary holy knight, and you kind of deal with a little bit of her past and one of the adventures she goes on, and I really wanted to make some decisions. I wish I got to do that, but I will say that it wasn't a bad story at all. It did keep me entertained. A lot of the writing was good, and some of it, was a little mistake here or there. That's going to happen. The art is beautiful, but I'm going to say also minimalistic. And what I mean by that is it feels like they did like 9 or so images, and like full images, and then a few like character models, and then just use those same images for everything. So like there's one attack image, and every time that Arcadia attacks, you're always going to see that image, maybe with a different background, but you're always going to see that image. Again, this was done by a really small studio. I think it's only a couple people, so that's to be understandable about that, and forgiven. And I think they did a great job. I think this is a really cool starting point. But again, like, this is a visual novel in this very sense of the word. It is a novel, and at the end it even says thank you for reading, not for playing. So if you're into visual novels, like Zero Escape or even Steins Gate has some choices, you might be like, this might not be for me, but it's also short. I'm gonna say it maybe took me an hour to read it all, an hour and a half. Based on being involved with other things in real life at the same time. So it's an easy read, and it's not terribly long. It's a great start too. I don't know where they're going with it, but I do want to say thank you to Gamuzumi for providing the code. And yeah, I mean, if that sounds up your alley and just looking for something quick to read, by all means, it's a couple bucks. And if you're a trophy hunter, on PlayStation, you can easily get a platinum on this, because you can actually just skip everything and get a platinum in about a minute.
Nice. Yeah, I've never really been into the visual novel kind of games and everything, but so just kind of fill me in, because I haven't played a whole lot of them. Is it really just reading and you're like clicking along, or is there any interaction at all with what's happening?
No, the whole thing is 100% just reading. You're seeing the story of Arcadia as she winds up going to this little town, and she confronts issues from her past. And like I said, the artwork is beautiful. It is definitely minimalistic in the sense of you will always see the same images when it's attacking or fighting a monster. You'll always see that monster. But again, it's $269, so you're not like really dropping a lot of money in it. But it is 100% reading from Arcadia's point of view. But like I said, you could look at the images, and like you could tell, very talented artists, and they did a really good job, and some really cool scenes, and it's not like a kid's story either. There's death, there's very descriptive stuff, there's people burning and stuff like that. Like it gets pretty dark, but it is very much just a reading thing. That's it. I in the options, there's an option of saying something about like for option, like skip cutscenes after you make decisions. Like you can tell they were probably had bigger ambitions when they started, and maybe time constraints. You know, it's a lot of work to do and write, and maybe they just couldn't do that, and they just like left that option in. And it's a shame. You know, I'd like to see where they go with it, because I am a fan of visual novels, but I am more of a fan of them when there are something to deviate it. Like Zero Escape has the escape rooms, and you know, AI has the going inside people's heads and deciphering the truth behind their words. And stuff like that is just really, really cool. Even the one I just did recently, Raging Loop, had you know, that was very similar to this, but it did have some decisions, and those decisions really, it was like this decision to keep going, this decision to die for a lot of parts. But it still gave some more of a choice, and that was a really compelling one to me. And then you get cryptic ones like Steins Gate, where it's literally you get text messages and you have to respond, and if you don't respond a certain way, you lock out different endings. So it's like, in order to get the perfect ending, you have to respond to everybody a certain way, and sometimes you don't have to respond at all. So it's really cryptic, and that's one I definitely recommend using a guide. But this is something where if you've never done visual novel and you just want a little quick story, you want something to read, just to see, it's absolutely serviceable and cool. But if you're looking for more interactivity, unfortunately at this point there is none that I encountered.
Gotcha. Yeah, Greg, do you have any questions about?
Yes, but how many hours did you have to? Was it like to read? Was it just like 1 or 2, or was it like 10?
No, about 1 hour, maybe a little, just
Okay,
over
so
1 hour. I mean,
start-
it's quicker.
Okay.
What was that?
Yeah, I was just like, okay,
Yeah, it's a quick read. I mean, it's like, hey, I just want to read a book, you know, or just a short story. That's really what it is. You're reading a visual short story, and like I said, it's definitely the foundation for something. You can see, I mean, even the logo, you can see there's, you know, a lot of hints towards Final Fantasy or Legends of Mana, or stuff like that, like the Square Enix logos. So it's definitely one of those cases where you can see they clearly want to build on this world, and I hope they do.
Cool. Well, thanks to the developers and the publishers for providing that for Barry to check it out. And yeah, if you've tried it out as well, we'd love to know what you guys think about the game. Let's jump into another little discussion about this game that kind of came out of nowhere last week, and that is Pac-Man 99. So yeah, totally hit us by surprise right in the middle of our podcast last week, and then we got a chance to play around with it this last week. So Pac-Man 99 follows in the footsteps of Tetris 99 and Super Mario Brothers 35 as a battle royale Pac-Man game. So those of you guys that are watching the video version of this podcast, you can see we got the trailer going on the screen right now, so you can kind of get a visual idea of what it's all about. Very similar to Tetris 99, but also very similar to Super Mario 35. So I got a little bit of chance to play with it. I know these guys also did as well. So I'd love to just hear your thoughts about your little bit of experience. Maybe this is something we'll revisit in the future after we get a little more time with the game as well. It is free. Just from the very beginning, let you guys know it's free if you're a Nintendo Online subscriber. So if you're already a subscriber, like, there's no more money out of your pocket unless you do want to get the DLC, the different packs and stuff that are out there to unlock different modes and also different visual changes, themes and stuff like that they have in the game. But yeah, you're basically competing against 98, I guess, other people playing Pac-Man. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts before I share my own. Greg, what'd you think of Pac-Man 99?
definitely much different than what I was initially thinking, because I feel like a lot of the emphasis on like Tetris 99 and on Mario Brothers 35 is you're really sending a lot of stuff over to other players. I played like 2 or 3 matches, and I feel like I didn't really get anything sent my way. So I don't know if I just wasn't being targeted or what's going on. I mean, I saw like some of those black and white Pac-Mans, and all they did was kind of slow me down. They didn't like hurt me or kill me. And I also picked up some of those ghost icons, and it just made a bunch more ghosts like chasing after the other ones. and it made more of them to eat after I had like a power pellet. But like, so I was kind of confused at how you were really sending stuff to other players because it didn't really seem to fit those same lines as like Tetris, where you get a Tetris, you send a block of 4 to some other player, or Mario 35, you stomp on a Goomba, and that Goomba literally goes to the other player's screen. So
Right.
that's why I was kind of confused on how this kind of works. So maybe I still need some more matches to get used to it, but I wasn't really quite sure what's going on. I mean, I'm not the biggest Pac-Man player fan either, so I would kind of prefer like Mario 35 over this, unfortunately. So I don't know how much more time I'll be spending with it, but from what I played, it just seemed like it was just a standard game of Pac-Man, and we're just trying to see if we can get to beat the levels faster than other players, I guess. I don't really know a whole lot what's really going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely can sense the confusion as well a little bit, like what exactly is happening during this game, and as I think Retrovision said earlier, a screen of craziness. That's that's very much what I felt when I played the game as well. Barry, what'd you think of Pac-Man 99?
Yeah, I'm gonna actually echo with Greg. I didn't get as many matches in, but I did notice that too. It felt like, am I sending things over? Are people sending things over? I'm not sure how it's working. And I did not do the greatest. It's been a long time since I played the original Pac-Man. But I'm interested in probably delving in a little more. But it's also one of those where that's not exactly a high priority. I'm with Greg. I kind of prefer Mario 35 over this, but I'm sure, Namco said like, hey, we kind of want our take on this as well. So I'm interested to see what happens. I'm kind of expecting a physical to come out for this because it's like $30 for everything. You get the bundle, you get the there's the single player stuff, and then there's all the different costumes and Namco love. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did some kind of physical as well. But I mean, if you are diehard Pac-Man, I mean, you can't go wrong. Again, like Steve said, it's free.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's really. I mean, it's Pac-Man. So if you like Pac-Man, and if you like, especially, it's kind of is this hybrid. I think, as I talked about the last podcast too, it kind of looks like this hybrid between original Pac-Man, Pac-Man Championship Edition, and Tetris 99. Like kind of like this monster of all three of them, and yeah, it's just chaotic, and it is a little confusing to know what you're doing at what time, and what actually, like, it seems like I thought the ghost or the Pac-Man that you send to other players were going to do harm, but it really just slows them down. So it's really just creating chaos on other people's screens in order to eventually cause them to die normally, is what I've picked up so far. Unless I haven't stayed in the game long enough, because I think that the highest I've done is like 35th place. So maybe you actually do send more stuff later, but it basically just seems like you're making the screen more and more chaotic for other people the better you do and the longer you stay in. And if you can avoid all the chaos, you can stay in and actually win the whole thing. So yeah, Retrovision says, like, Pac-Man game you'd find at Dave & Buster's, but a home version. Yeah, it kind of is like that as well. Like, if you've played Pac-Man at Dave & Buster's, you're playing all against each other. Actually, that is actually more fun for me. If we were all on the same screen and like somehow competing against each other, that's a little more fun. But yeah, I mean, other than, it being free, of course, what do you guys think? Is there would you actually recommend this if it wasn't free, I guess? Can I place that kind of qualifier on it? If it wasn't free, would you still recommend this game? Greg, what do you think?
Well, I guess it's not entirely free, because if you're buying DLC, which is a bunch of other additional content, I mean, I know Tetris 99 had that paid DLC as well, and Mario 35 didn't have any sort of DLC. I mean, I guess it just depends on how much you like Pac-Man. If you really absolutely love Pac-Man, then this is obviously a game for you, no matter what the price. I mean, you're probably going to be wanting to play it a lot. And as long as you like those battle royale type settings for like Tetris 99 or Mario 35, then kind of know what you're getting into. It just kind of creates a lot of chaos and havoc, and you have to prove that you're one of the better Pac-Man players in those kind of situations. If you're not huge into Pac-Man, which it kind of sounds like three of us aren't, then the free version is probably just good enough, but it's probably not going to hold your attention forever, and you're probably not going to buy the DLC either. So I guess in a nutshell, it depends on your love for Pac-Man.
Yeah. I think it's funny you said that, Greg, about like it sounds like the rest of us aren't. I actually really do enjoy Pac-Man, and I thought I was pretty good until I played this game. And then I realized I was like, man, I made it really far because I wasn't paying attention. Because it's hard to pay attention to what else is going on the sides and everybody else because it's so chaotic on your screen. And so I thought I made it really far, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, there's a ton of people still in. I only got 35th place. So it kind of put me in my place. I thought I was doing really well, but apparently not so much. Barry, what do you think? Is it beyond like being free? Like, would you recommend it?
I mean, if it wasn't free, then I'm assuming it would be the $30 bundle with everything, and that would really depend on how much you really like Pac-Man. And like you, Steve, I enjoy Pac-Man. I grew up with it, and I thought I was pretty good at it too. But it's been probably 20, 30 something years since I played the original, and the last one I did was the Champion Edition on the Xbox Live Arcade, and even that was over a decade ago now or so, or it feels that way at least. So it's like
probably was actually.
Probably was, yeah. So it's one of those things where if you really like Pac-Man, it looks like craziness. You love that crazy and that chaotic kind of gameplay. Then yes, I do recommend it. If it was only pay. Otherwise, I would say no. Since it is free, I do recommend everybody at least give it a try because you never know. You could wind up loving it or hating it, and all you lose is a little bit of time.
Yeah. I do need to ask, did you guys play with the Pro Controller, number one, and did you change the controls at all?
I didn't change the controls because I didn't know about it until after, and I haven't gone back to change it. But I did use the D-pad, and it wasn't exactly the best.
Yeah. That was rough. Greg, did you have the same experience?
Unfortunately, I actually did play it in handheld, but I was like, why is the joystick working? I'm hitting down, he's not going down. What's going on?
Yeah.
And then I was like, is it these random buttons that are sometimes B, Y, X thing right below it on the left Joy-Con?
Right.
Hey, that makes Pac-Man actually move. All right.
Yeah. I don't know why they automatically disable the left analog stick for movement. It doesn't quite make sense. Like I could understand in Super Mario 35 maybe because hey, that's a 2D platformer, whatever. But like, or maybe even in Tetris 99. But like Pac-Man was built with the joystick in mind. Like, like that's an analog stick. Why would they disable that at the first? So if you're playing this game and you have been frustrated by the pitiful control pad that's on the Pro Controller, go in and change it to the analog stick, and you'll probably have a little better experience with this game. At least, in my opinion, I think you will. It's still chaotic and all that stuff, but I think it's easier to control with the analog stick instead.
Yeah, my experience kind of reminded me of like am I playing this on PlayStation right now? It's like,
right. Yeah.
Not a D-pad, but it is a D-pad. That's how the Joy-Con doesn't actually have a D-pad on it.
Right. Yeah. So that's Pac-Man 99. Let us know what you guys think in the chat, live chat, but also in the comments as well. And we'd love to hear what you think and what your time with Pac-Man 99 has been all about. All right, well, let's move on to probably really our only big story this week, and that is a little tweet that Nintendo put out this morning. Of course, happening tomorrow, a new Indie World showcase is going to arrive on April 14th at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and they say tune in to For a live stream featuring roughly 20 minutes focused on fresh and new indie games coming to the Nintendo Switch. And you can watch it right there on nintendo.com/indie-world. So Indie World is returning after several months, I think. I don't know, what was like last one was like September or October or something like that.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It's been a little while, and kind of came out of the blue, maybe a little bit out of the blue. But Nintendo's been doing this lately. They're kind of just dropping stuff, shadow dropping it. Just Pac-Man 99 dropped it last week without any hesitation at all. Just like, hey, this is happening. Enjoy tomorrow. So kind of basically the same thing. Hey, Indie World's happening. Enjoy tomorrow. So of course we have no idea what's actually going to be shown off. 20 minutes of indie games. But yeah, what are you guys thinking this is going to be like? What are you expecting? Or maybe what are you predicting as we head into this? Unfortunately, yeah, like I said, the timing and everything, we don't have the ability to actually review that until maybe talk about the next podcast or maybe a different video or something. But yeah, what do you think we're actually going to see during this Indie World showcase tomorrow, Barry?
The keywords I think there are new and exciting. I think a lot of people are hoping for Silk Song or Axiom Verge 2 or Sports Story and the stuff that we already know about. And while normally I would agree, I don't know necessarily if we're going to see those since it specifically states new. Like we already know all those games. So if that's the case, I hope it's 20 minutes of brand new indie games, because that means we're getting those on top of the ones we already know about. I don't necessarily have like any exact pick on saying like, oh, this indie game I absolutely want to see come. But I'm interested to see what they highlight, because there was a ton of indie games that come out in the Switch. Just talked about one of them. Did not get an Indie World spotlight. And I'm interested to see which ones they choose. And one thing they've been doing with the Indie Worlds lately is there's always been that zinger, that one more thing that they've been doing. Cuphead was announced in one of them, Axiom Verge 2. They do, I think Oreo, I think, was announced in one of them as well. That's what I'm interested to see. Like, how are they going to end? Is it going to be, and like this would be a perfect spot for like Among Us or something like that, but it's already out. So what are they going to do? The biggest games that we know about are already there. So I'm excited. I'm going to go in with the bare minimum expectations that there's nothing going to be blowing my mind, but it's going to be some really cool stuff from passionate developers. Whether I like them or not, it doesn't matter. They're passion projects, and I hope to leave, happy, excited.
Nice. Jakester said that they don't really show games that have been already shown in these showcases, so most likely we won't see Silk Song or Sports Story, stuff like that. It kind of seems like that's probably the case. Greg, any thoughts around what we might see tomorrow?
Not really. I mean, I kind of was thinking along the same lines as Barry. I mean, of course, I'd love to see an update on like Silk Song and Axiom Verge 2, but that's not usually the kinds of stuff that they repeat in these kind of showcases. So, it would still be really cool if they did have a trailer that's saying, like, oh, now we have a better launch window of it. But, I guess you don't really know. Some of these are not like exclusively these are only new ones that are coming. There's been other directs and stuff that's like, well, here's ones that you do know that are coming, and maybe here's like a new trailer on it. We found out like Fall Guys and stuff was coming, and who knows, maybe they might show a little gameplay footage of that working on Switch. I don't know. So that already obviously had its spotlight before and an actual full direct, so I don't know if it'll be shown in a showcase here, but it certainly could be. I just really hope to see some really cool games, and I always look forward to seeing what the latest games that these indie developers are creating, because a lot of them are these retro-styled games that I love to play, platformers or RPG styles, and those always end up being very good games that I always recommend you buy at our Game of the Year podcast. So I'm just kind of excited to see what these developers have to show.
Yeah, I think same here. I think it's. I really hope that it's fresh and new, and it's things that we haven't seen before. Of course, it'd be nice to hear some stuff following up on the games that we do know. If we can get some dates and stuff like that, and maybe they will show some of that, because even on previous Nintendo Directs or other Indie World Showcase, they say it's all going to be brand new, but then we get some stuff that's not brand new. So they'll probably, I'm guessing, throw in, a little bit, maybe 2 or 3 minutes of a sizzle reel and say, here's some dates. But then I hope it is filled with a bunch of brand new stuff that we've never seen before, and maybe something that's going to blow our minds that is coming from some, person that is a 1 or 5 person team or something like that just is going to knock it out of the park. And it might be, something brand new that we never saw coming.
You make a good point, Steve. I forgot about the sizzle reel, and I do think that if they do a type of sizzle reel, we'll see Silk Song, and we'll see, Sports Story and Axiom Verge 2 and stuff like that in the sizzle reel only, not highlighted, but at least thrown out there with dates. Because you're right, Nintendo is often, shown saying we're going to do one thing and then doing the other, like the last Direct, which was just going to focus on the first half of 2021, as we got games that are coming out in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 2022 is the second half of 2021.
Clearly.
These games were probably meant for 2021, but due to the pandemic, it was pushed to 2022.
That's probably accurate, actually.
But not the first half of 2021.
Maybe. Who knows? COVID does
usually
some crazy
things. Usually the only time they don't deviate is when they said, oh, we're only showing games on the 3DS, not the Wii U, not the Switch. These games are only coming from the 3DS. Do not expect it. Or we will not be showing Breath of the Wild at this Direct. So please stay tuned to the future.
Well, yeah, I think one thing's for sure is we probably won't see Breath of the Wild 2 tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not an indie developer.
hopefully at E3, but who knows? All right. Well, that's that. If you guys, just another plug for our Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, be sure to join it. And if you're after the fact, that's okay too. But if you're watching right now and it's still before the Indie World Showcase, jump over in our Discord, join that, because we have an events section in there, an events channel that you guys can chat about it during the live event. It's kind of cool just to see all the discussion and our thoughts live as we're watching that together. So make sure you do join our Discord and join in the live discussion, but also after the fact, we love dissecting a little bit afterwards, and talking about the favorite games we saw, the stuff that maybe didn't go so great, and just talk about what we're excited to eventually play. So make sure you head over to our Discord, and you can join in the discussion about the Indie World Showcase. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of our major discussion tonight. So let's hit some quick headlines before we move on to looking at the next week. Greg, tell us a little bit about what's happening with Fire Emblem to start us off.
All right, so pretty much there was like a leaker on Reddit that prior to Three Houses had its first major trailer, had leaked a lot of information about it. So I guess there's been some new threads developing, some of it in actually correlation with Fire Emblem Heroes, believe it or not. I don't think it's in this particular article, but I did see some references to other people commenting on this kind of items. Pretty much that there's some hints that there might be doing remakes of Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn for Nintendo Switch. So those were the ones that was on GameCube and Wii. And if you talk to Barry, it's a pretty penny, over $100 to acquire these classical games. So, and obviously this is like a rumor, they haven't really announced it, but people think there's some reason to believe that these are the next 2 games to get remade in the Fire Emblem verse, and be upcoming on Switch, and it could release at some point either later this year from E3 or next year, who knows. So that's it regarding Fire Emblem.
Nice. Well, also today we found out that Nintendo also is dropping something out of the blue. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but there is a new color of the Nintendo Switch Lite. It's a blue color of sorts. It kind of looks purple in the images they gave us, but it's going to be dropping on May 21st, right alongside Miitopia. And the suggested retail price, of course, is a $199, the same as the rest of the Nintendo Switch Lites out there. And now there's coral, yellow, gray, turquoise, and now a blue color. And maybe you could still get your hands on the Pokemon Special Edition if you want to as well. If you've been holding out for this blue color for your Switch Lite, May 21st is the day to get it.
And we're big fans of Super Nintendo World here, and we've been following Japan quite closely as it, finally opened to the public. And it seems that Japan isn't going to be the only one quickly getting a Nintendo World. It seems California is finally getting theirs. Universal Studios Hollywood, they are starting to construct it. So the first photos have been surfacing, and there's no actual date on when Super Nintendo World is planning to open in Hollywood, but it is something to get excited about because we're finally getting it over here in the States. And don't forget that Orlando is also going to be getting one with a tentative 2025 opening date, with Singapore as well getting one sometime in the future.
More on the Switch rumor scene, that big 12.0.0 update that we got right during the last podcast. There's been a data miner from Oatmeal Dome on Twitter. He went through and was kind of analyzing the changes, and it looks like there's some changes being made that you can possibly link Bluetooth audio headsets. So they have an opinion that there could be future support for that going forward, or maybe it's just Nintendo just adding in some silly references and other strings to further enhance, the Joy-Con connectivity, because those also use Bluetooth connection. In addition to that, Nintendo Prime reported on the same data miner, Oatmeal Dome. He found a reference in regard to CRDA equals the cradle dock for Alula, and that's a code name for a new Nintendo Switch model. They don't know if that is referencing a new system or if it's going to be the Switch Pro, but since the ability to update the dock has been added with that update, the references could be a different dock than the one we currently have. So who knows? Could be Switch 2 confirmed, or who knows? It's only Nintendo does.
And then finally, we got some news, or possible news. Nintendo's president, Furukawa, said in an interview with Nike, I don't know how to pronounce that. But anyway, discussed that the company possibly might have some issues with manufacturing and especially getting their hands on some semiconductors. That's been just one of the materials that are being, not produced nearly as much as we would like them to be due to COVID and other concerns and all the factories and stuff like that. And they're kind of at a hot commodity right now. And so he said, we have been able to secure the necessary materials for the immediate production of semiconductors for Switches. However, in Japan and other countries, demand has been very strong since the beginning of the year, and there is a possibility of shortages at some retailers in the future. So it's difficult to say, he said, if there's going to be shortages of Switches in the near future, but there is a possibility based on the less than desirable number of semiconductors out there to create more Nintendo Switches. So if you haven't gotten one, even though they're putting out a new blue light, that you may want to grab one the next time you see one, because they may be hard to find again. So that's the headlines. Quickly, I'd love to just kind of see if you guys had any further thoughts, any discussion around any of these news stories. Barry, any thoughts about any of these?
I think the firmware thing is interesting. Hopefully, it is a tease towards next gen Switch, which we pretty much I think it's a safe bet that it's going to be a upgraded Switch or a Super Switch, and not necessarily a brand new generation. It just doesn't seem like Nintendo will go that route, but who knows? It's Nintendo. We don't know what they're doing. The Fire Emblem remakes, I'm happy about too, if that's real. I think the Switch architecture is so good overall, and going forward, I can't see the next Switch not being backwards compatible. So because of that, it's almost like just put all Nintendo games on this one system. Like let this be the be all end all system, and especially when you're dealing with two Fire Emblem games that are one significantly expensive and one rising in value. And while there's plenty of Wii's out there that will also play GameCube games, at least for probably 90% of them out there. It's harder to get them, and with the Wii shop closed, you can't download anything. So, I wouldn't hate to see them remade. I'm a fan of that. I do know that if that's announced before more Zelda 35 or even any Metroid 35 stuff, though, people will probably riot because they'll be like Smash Brothers, too many Fire Emblem characters. What the heck? Give Metroid some love. And as for shortages, I think we're going to see that across the board. So hopefully those semiconductors aren't needed for the Super Switch revision or whatever, and they're going to be focusing on that for the later half of this year.
Yeah. It's funny. I think we've kind of gotten to that point where we're like, you know what? Just make everything that you make anymore the Ultimate Edition, and just keep adding to it. We'll be happy with that. And I kind of feel like that's kind of the approach that a lot of us are taking with a lot of these things recently. Greg, anything stand out to you from these news stories?
Yeah, I'm obviously definitely very interested if that Fire Emblem thing turns out to be true. I would definitely be supportive of that, and if they're both be separate games, fine. I would still buy them both. If it's a 2-pack, that would be much better for my wallet, and I would happily pick that up as well. The blue Switch Lite, I mean, obviously it's nice to have another color variation, but I also don't know if it's just going to be just a new skin color, because I mean, Joy-Con drift is kind of a major problem, and especially for Switch Lite owners, because you have to send your entire console back to Nintendo. So I really hope to not hear any problems developing with those that do pick up that new color.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is very exciting to know that Super Nintendo World can be worked on here in the West, and definitely we'll be checking the one out, at least hopefully in Hollywood and Orlando at some point. Well, probably not opening day or anything like that, because it's going to be nuts, but definitely can't wait to check those out here, and still hope to make it to Japan sometime to see it there as well.
Yeah.
The firmware thing definitely is very interesting, and how they can just kind of like shadow drop in these features and try to slip it into the code, and then there's data miners that find these things. It's how a lot of things for Animal Crossing New Horizons was determined, and there's a lot of unused code for like Rooster and stuff like that, and people think that, it could be in a major update to the game, but it's still obviously a year later and nothing came of that. So I guess you never really know what they kind of nuggets to leave behind in their code that throw everybody off, and think there's something coming, but turns out to be nothing. And then obviously the Switch store just kind of stinks for anyone looking to get the Switch. I mean, that's scalpers are gonna be like, yes, let's buy them all up right now. Buy a Switch, give me $500. No, don't. Wait, buy the system for retail price. Do not buy it from scalpers.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 and Xbox, please do not pay above retail price, or at least double retail price at least.
Yeah. I'm just laughing because Jared wrote in there. Jared's also on our staff as well, writes for the NintendoFuse.com, and says that he'd happily take one for the team and for an all expense paid trip to the opening. Yeah, Jared, if anybody's getting all expense paid, if I'm paying all the expenses, it's going to be me. So I'm going to be selfish. But Yeah, I'm excited actually that Hollywood. He says Barry can be my +1. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm excited that Hollywood is jumping ahead of the schedule. I thought Florida would end up being the one, so that's exciting for me because Hollywood's a whole lot closer than Florida. So maybe I can get a cheaper ticket than going to Orlando.
You know why, right?
I have thoughts, but I don't know for sure.
It's because Super Nintendo World's going to be part of the existing studio that's there in Universal and then Hollywood, where in Florida, Universal's building a brand new, entirely new theme park. And when COVID happened, they put that project on hold because of COVID, and now they're going to start that up. So it's not adding to the existing Islands of Adventure or Universal Studios Florida. It's going to be a third brand new park. So, right. And on top of building Super Nintendo World, they got to build the rest of the park too.
That's a good point. Yeah, I totally forgot that was going to be the case. So I still do want to go to Orlando because it sounds like Orlando might be the park to go to because it's brand new. I imagine that it's probably going to be bigger than the other ones. Also, they have more land there to use because both Tokyo and Hollywood are kind of landlocked, and there's not a whole lot of space to use in both of those parks. But hopefully there's more room to expand and make some really awesome big things there in Orlando. So I'd be up for a like we said before, I'd be up for a meetup there, but I don't have enough money to pay for all of you guys on the team to go, Jared. So unless we get to some point where maybe we need more people to follow us and subscribe to us so we can get back to monetization and super chats and all those different things, and maybe YouTube will pay us enough to actually go and make it to Orlando, all expenses paid. So that's on you guys, the fans. Make it happen, and then we'll do a meetup when we get there. Let's see. I think it's time to move on to the games that are going to be coming out over the next week. But before we do that, one more last reminder to join us on social media. Follow us at NintendoFuse on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and also join our Discord if you haven't done that yet. Again, link is on the screen and also in the show notes and the YouTube description. And also, actually, I just remembered some of you guys were talking about it in the chat as well. The Ask Iwata book came out. It's being shipped now. Is that right? You have yours in hand, Barry? You guys, did that come in?
Yeah, it arrived today.
Cool. So what do you think of it so far? Quick mini review of it.
I mean, I didn't really get much of a chance to read it. I just glanced through it, but it's nice. It's like a chapter written by Miyamoto, and there's a lot of his sayings and principles and a little autobiography kind of deal, and it's just really nicely done, decently sized, and looking forward to it. Just reading through and seeing more about the man that we once called our president, and I've heard nothing but good things. So
that's cool. Yeah, I totally forgot about it until everybody was talking about it coming out today. I'm like, oh man, I forgot to order that. Greg, did you get a chance to order it, or did you forget about it like I did?
Nah, I forgot like you did.
Yeah. So yeah, maybe hopefully they don't run out, and I can actually get a copy of that for sure. Jared said that it's actually put together very well, and it's an easy read, and makes them happy and sad all at the same time. Yeah, I could definitely understand where you're coming from, Jared. It's great memories, but at the same time sad that it all ended too soon for sure. Well, let's move on to look at what's coming out over this next week. And honestly, as I looked over this list, I didn't really see too many games that stood out to me. I don't know if you guys did or not. There's a lot of indie games, and I'm sure we're probably going to get some shadow drops tomorrow from Indie World Showcase as well. Yeah, there's a lot of different indie games that are coming out over this next week. A lot of games that I've not heard of, haven't looked into. Of course, just as we talked last week about several games, and then Barry got a chance to play them, there could be some surprises in there. So just because we haven't heard of them, you've never heard of them, or anything like that, doesn't mean they're bad games. It just means they're not incredibly popular, or that we haven't heard of them. So Saga Frontier Remastered is a cool one. I'm sure that everybody's going to enjoy, that really enjoys those games and stuff. But then, you also got your Pocoyo Party. So that might also be a sleeper hit. Who knows? Yeah, lots of indie games, lots of random games on there as well. Barry, any of these games that you're looking forward to, or if not, what else are you gonna be playing over this next week?
Saga Frontier is definitely one I'm looking forward to, and waiting for the physical to come from Asia so that I can play it that way. As you were looking through the thing, one of the games that stood out to me was a game called Kingdom of Arcadia, because I'm like, wait a second, is this actually linked? Oh, there's the Ulterior Mysterious Trilogy Deluxe Pack. That's another one that I'm looking forward to. But yeah, I was wondering, this Kingdom of Arcadia linked to the Legend of Arcadia that I just played.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at it. Apparently, it's a Metroidvania, and it is done by East Asia Soft, so it's a different developer. I guess Arcadia is just a name that many other games or studios have decided to take. So unfortunately, because if it was, I was going to reach out and say, hey, you know what, play your second game, why not? But
yeah.
My main goal is I'm going to work more on Hades. I'm going to play a little Blue Fire, and depending on when that physical for Saga Frontier comes, I'm going to possibly do that, or I might do World Ends With You. One game I never actually finished, and with the new one coming out, I kind of want to go to it. So I'll see where I go with that.
Cool. Greg, anything that stands out to you that you're hoping to play over this next week, or are you going to be continuing on with some of the other games you've been playing?
Yeah, it'll probably be just a continuation of the games. So hopefully try to wrap up Bowser's Fury. Hopefully jump back into Pokemon Sword and finish catching all the missing Pokemon, and maybe hopefully complete Mario Odyssey at some point. I feel like I'm getting closer after having collected so many moons over these last few nights. So unfortunately, nothing really stuck out. I know when my daughter was younger, she absolutely loved the Pocoyo series on Netflix, and I think she's already kind of aged out of the game when I looked at the details. So it's like, oh, we're 3 to 5. And, well, she's 6, so she hasn't really watched Pocoyo in some time now, so I get a nice safe pass on that one.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think there's really anything that stands out to me from games to be out in the next week. Shantae is actually coming out in a little bit, couple days, it's a week and a couple days, which is exciting, but they just keep releasing the old games. But if you haven't checked that game out, it's really fun. It's kind of cool to see that.
You say keep releasing the old games. That game hasn't had a port since the Game Boy Color original. That's the first time it's being re-released.
Well, that one in particular, but at the other ones, they keep releasing. That one in particular, we haven't seen since Game Boy Color, which is kind of crazy, but cool to finally see it again. I feel like all the subsequent sequels have been re-released on pretty much every platform that they have. I'm gonna probably be hopefully actually getting some time with Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Want to get back to Spider-Man eventually as well. Of course, plugging away at Rocket League, and I'm looking forward to. I want to jump into Pac-Man 99 a little bit more as well, and see I want to commit a decent amount of time to it and actually see can I compete in this, because I got to a point where with Tetris 99 and also Super Mario 35 that I was no, I'm incapable of doing very well in this game, but I want to give Pac-Man 99 some more time and see if I can actually be good at it. Probably not, but but I at least want to play it a few more times just to see, and also want to dig into it a little bit more in the extra modes to see if it's worth getting some of the DLC or if it's better just to just keep playing the free version. So I'll spend some more time with that as well. But yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this podcast, and just a programming update that we want to let you guys know on about. So a couple things are going to be happening. Number one, we're going to be actually taking a break from the podcast for the next few weeks. So our goal is to come back on May 18th. So that'd be a month, taking a month off of the podcast. So you're probably wondering, hey, there's an Indie World Showcase and there's other things that are happening. We're going to still try to cover that in some different ways. If nothing else, you can jump on our Discord and chat with us about all that stuff. But we're going to try to see if we can cover some of those other things that might happen in between episodes in some different ways. So make sure you are checking out our YouTube channel at youtube.com/NintendoFuse, and also, of course, NintendoFuse.com. But yeah, we'll be back eventually. We're shooting for the goal of May 18th, so just taking a month off. And when we do come back, another programming note, I hope you guys have been enjoying the weekly podcast episodes, but we actually going to go back to the every other week schedule for a while, just because it's a little easier for us to pull off. I mean, on a personal basis, I've got a lot of other things that I'm trying to juggle and everything right now. And so we're going to go back to an every other week schedule when we come back, hopefully in May. Definitely by June. We're definitely going to be back by June, but we're going to try to shoot for May 18th to be back if we can. And at that point, like I said, every other week at that point. So still regular episodes. And for those of you guys that were fans of the podcast, you were jumping on board and listening every other week about, I don't know, 6 months or so ago before we switched to an every week schedule. We're basically just going back to that schedule. So not a huge change, but a little bit of one that we want to make sure that you guys know about. So, you know, if you're not getting a new podcast in your feed, like come next week, or when we come back, you're like, wait, where's that one in between? You know what the schedule is, and you know what to expect. So, Greg, Barry, anything to say about that, or anything else before we wrap up for today? Barry, got anything?
Yeah, well, just about that. We just wanted to say we appreciate everybody who listens and follows us, and you know, this is just something we're doing just to catch up on some things before we come back. We just need a little bit of a time, and you know, we're still going to be active in Discord. We're still going to be active on social media, so we definitely still want to hear from you. But we absolutely do thank you and appreciate everything that all of you listeners continue to do for us and support, and we just want to say thank you. At least I want to say thank you for sure. I will say, going forward on, you know, other things that I have going on, I did a recording for a podcast last night for Hunting Pixels that will hopefully be going up tomorrow. So if you follow me on Twitter at Hawk Hellfire, I will be posting the link to that when it goes live. And tomorrow I will be on another thing. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work. It's called Classic Game Fest 2021. We're doing something. It's tomorrow night, where the people who put on the Midwest Gaming Classic are going to be playing the games that we put out in Premium Edition. So we'll be a part of that, which will be cool. And of course, the Playcast that I'm also a part of will continue. So you'll be able to at least hear me there, but we'll severely be missing some Steve and Greg for sure.
Yeah. Echo the thanks to all you guys as listeners for sure. It'd be weird not doing this for a little bit. We're not going away. It's just going to be a little bit of a break. We do this from time to time. We took a break around Christmas time as well, so it's okay. Life will go on. So you don't have to say RIP in the chat there, Jakester. Like, we're not dead. Greg, anything you want to say before we wrap up this one?
I definitely wanted to echo what Barry was saying. We definitely appreciate everyone listening and trying to help us grow. We do really enjoy reading everybody's comments and everything like that in all of our different shows, and even after the fact on any of the apps that you might follow us on. So please, I mean, if you want more of us, just make sure you can listen to old episodes, and definitely appreciate your support, and would welcome you to continue leaving positive reviews, smashing like button, subscribe, and all that kind of good stuff, just so they can stay tuned and never miss anything that we post or talk about. And definitely we'll talk to you guys for the next month, at least on like a call base, but we'll certainly all be active in Discord over that time.
Yep, cool. Well, and hopefully by that point we'll have lots to talk about what we've been playing, and maybe it'll be more than Rocket League for me at that point. So, well,
Steve will come back to say, "I beat Xenoblade 2." And
yeah,
beat Xenoblade X.
That's how I use my time off. I finally beat Xenoblade X, and even got 2 and beat that. I mean, I should take more time off. I can play all these Xenoblade games.
You know what? That would be absolutely acceptable for me.
Nice. Well, yeah, we're gonna be back hopefully in May, if nothing else in June. But stay tuned to our social media. We'll post all about that when we are ready to come back. Yeah, we'll be talking about E3 the next time we are chatting, and getting ready for E3. Even though it's going to be a little different this year, that's going to be happening. So exciting times to come for sure. But we'll be back in about a month. And until then, happy gaming, everybody.
Have a good one.
See you next time.